Hello there, folks. Hatme here. If you're an experienced PvP player, then this video is definitely not for you. On the other hand, if you played single-player campaign, skirmish, or conquest, and you got bored of destroying hordes of AIs, or simply want to try something new, you came to a right place. Playing PvP can feel somewhat intimidating. At times, it seems like a completely different game from what you might be used to. The goal of this video would be to ease you in the world of player versus player experience. We will learn how to join multiplayer lobby or create your own, what game modes and options are available. We'll cover army doctrines, basic resource and army management during battles, as well as explanation of how to play individual game modes, from Domination, battle zones to Frontlines. Once you're in the multiplayer, you can see a couple of options at the top. Would be host game, filter, refresh, and join. And we're gonna visit this in a minute. Below that, you can see the list of all the lobbies or all the games available. And to the right, you can see your friends if they're playing the game. If they're in the lobby, you might be able to like right-click and join on them. And to the right, you can see last played. Over here, these are all the people I recently played with, and if you like them, if they were very nice to you or they were good players, you can right-click, check their Steam profile, and maybe try to add them as your friend so you can play with those guys regularly, which would be very nice. Well, going back to the lobby, the most obvious difference here would be the grayed out and the yellow lobbies. Grayed out lobbies are the lobbies that you cannot join for whatever reason. Might be like maxed out with players, might be host conditions, maybe you need more veterancy, more games, maybe you'll be required to have better computer than you have currently. But yeah, those that are yellow are available to you. Those that are grayed out are not available. To the left, you can see VAC secured. This is essentially anti-cheat tool, I believe. When you're hosting, you can select to turn it off or on. Whenever we play PvP, usually stays on, so people probably cannot cheat. Then you have XP. If you're gonna receive XP, you're gonna have this type of sign. If you are only playing against AI, if you play Conquest, you're not going to receive XP. But if you're playing PvP or some type of PV, you will be able to receive XP. And that XP you can tell on the top right corner. You can see level 30 with the Brits. You can select different factions, and you can select with the Germans, 28 USSR, US. It's kind of surprising that the Brits have the highest level for me of experience. I would bet on Germany. But going back to the original topic, you can see the requirements here. It says minimum performance needed to join. That would be the top tier computer. Some other hosts might require less, really depending. And you can see the experience requirements as well, like how many multiplayer games you have. Sometimes this could be higher or lower as well. Then you can see the name of the host. You can see the game modes. This is Last Stand, Conquest, Domination, Battle Zones, Frontlines, you name it. Then you can see the map that's being used to play. If it's a part of a DLC, they will let you know. I'm not sure. I have all the DLCs. I'm not sure if you can join the map that you do not have as a DLC. You might not be able to, who knows. On this side, you can see the number of players that are in the lobby and the max number of players for the lobby, as well as mods. If the host is hosting with some mods active, they're gonna appear over here. If there are no mod requirements, it's gonna be empty. This field is gonna be empty. If the host has multiple mods, you should have mods activated the same order. Otherwise, you might get like a desynchronization issue. This is what you get after trying to join a modded lobby if you do not have the mod required. It says resource desynchronization detected, required mods, Conquest Enhanced V2. But sometimes this can happen without the host having a mod or you having a mod. I had some issues with American maps before. I just couldn't join specific maps, or I just couldn't join at all with my buddies. Sometimes this can get worse. This could happen if you're playing with editors. Sometimes you save some of the maps or some of the changes you make, or if you play with the game files. This is a very common issue. What you need to do is get out and try to verify the files. In order to verify game files, you need to go to the library and then find the game itself. That will be Call to Arms, Gates of Hell, Ostfront. You should not be running the game at the time, so just get out of the game and try to do it. Then you can right-click, go to Properties, then you can have Installed Files, and over here you can see Verify Integrity of Game Files. This will take between 10 and 5 minutes, I don't know, depending on your system, your hardware, your SSD or HDD, where the game is installed. What this will do, if you have any altered game files, it will go through every single file and check if it matches with their database. If it doesn't, it will reset it. So all the potential changes you made to your Conquest campaign, or if you saved some maps in the editor, they might disappear with this, but you will be able to play multiplayer after this. If this does not solve your desynchronization issue, it has nothing to do with mods, then you might be forced to reinstall the game. Once I had this problem, I had to I deleted all the mods essentially, found the mods in the mod files, deleted them manually as well, and then I reinstalled the game, and I was able to play multiplayer again with no issues. As we learned so far, there are a variety of game modes. Hosts can have different requirements. They can be from different places. So how do I easily find the specific type of game mode? Or how do I find a host that's closest to me? This is where filter option is very important. This game has no dedicated servers. So I'm in Europe, or if you're in the US or in Asia, there are no dedicated servers. That means the host is the server, right? So if I'm in Eastern Europe and you're in West Coast US, we might have some issues with the lag, because it's a big distance. In order to improve your experience in any kind of multiplayer, it could be PvP, it could be PvE, to avoid any kind of lag or additional problems, I would usually recommend to play from medium to closest. If there are no games closest to you, you can just go medium. Not gonna create you any issue. This could be up to 100 ms or something like that. Then you have game types. This is where you decide what kind of lobbies you're gonna see. So I do not want to play somebody else's Conquest. I'm interested in Battle Zones and Domination because they are multiplayer or PvP type of battles. Last Stand, that's PvE. Cooperative or cooperative would be essentially playing single player or skirmish battle. I'm not interested in that, so we're gonna leave only 3: Battle Zones, Domination, and Frontlines. Then we have only friend sessions. These would be the lobbies where either your friends are hosts or they're in the lobby. Only without passwords. That means I do not want to see, protected lobbies because I just cannot enter. What's the point, right? Only same version. This is also important because sometimes people are going to play with older version or they might play with the beta version. There are always new features in beta, so sometimes people just want to try them out or see some of the quality changes, some of the multiplayer changes. You should be on the same version. No point in seeing, versions that you cannot play with. And only with open slots as well. I want to see those lobbies where I can actually play, right? So let's see how this changes after we click apply. And we now only have 7 lobbies that we can join, but only 1 is with the mod. I think it would be nice to see a mod option as well, but it's not that bad. You can play whatever you like. That's much better. Remember also that some of these filter settings will remain there. Even if you exit the game, some of them will stay. And if you want to play with your friends that are far away, you might not be able to join. You might get this synchronization issue. So in order to mitigate that, just go to the filter and reset. Reset all the values. And then, if your friends are far away or they're organizing, I don't know, Conquest together, you will be able to join their lobby. You can always refresh to get the latest information on the servers, even though they actively refresh every 10 or 15 seconds. And you can, whenever you find a lobby, you can join by clicking here, or you can double click. Let's say that you cannot find any interesting lobby for yourself. You can just host it. click over here, and you get into the host game mode. You can select the type of game you're gonna play. Goes from battle zones, domination, last stand, cooperative, or frontlines. Depending on the game mode that you're gonna select, maps could be different. If we click here on select map, you can select any map you like that's included for this mod. For example, this is frontlines. You can see that those maps are very narrow. They're long, but they're narrow. Different type of maps, and this is only for frontlines. But if I switch to maybe domination, you have completely different type of maps available to you. If you want to go to something like cooperative, you're gonna be able to select the single player battles and maybe some skirmishes. Depending on essentially the DLC, you might be able to play up to 4 or up to 8 players. With some of the newer DLCs, you can have like up to 8 players, and for some of the older ones, you're gonna have to play with max 4. But going back to maybe domination, we select the map. Those maps can be labeled with specific DLC, like this one belongs to Finest Hour, this one belongs to Talvisota, Liberation, yada yada yada. If you want most players to be able to play those, you might get something that's neutral, that does not require DLC, like Valley, for example. Or we can select something bigger like Voronezh, or we can bring something like Vitebsk. Why not, right? But then you go to player numbers, and those bigger maps, they have option to go with smaller player limit. I can set it up for 2 players, and that will be it. But those smaller maps, if we go to like 2v2, Ladoga, for example, you cannot increase it to 8. There are some mods that can help you with this one, but that's out of the scope of today's conversation. Below that, we have the Valve anti-cheat system that I mentioned before. I recommend you to keep it on. We don't like cheaters, right? Password is there if you wanna, just play with your friends on Discord or Steam. Putting password, they have to match though. I put like 123, 123. Only now you can kind of go. But if you want to play with, random players, then of course do not include password, because they will not be able to join you. And one important thing to remember is that all of your Steam friends will be able to join even though they do not know password. They're just gonna skip the password and they're gonna get straight to your lobby, which is pretty neat, right? Then we have user performance. If you're playing like 1v1, 2v2, I don't think that user performance matters all that much, because there will not be as many units on the battlefield, and usually maps are smaller, so your like CPU and GPU work less, your RAM requirements will be lower, so you don't have to set it up. You can maybe go with medium, to be honest. But if you're playing with like 3v3 or 4v4, I definitely recommend switching to good, so people with good computers will be able to play. We said that there are no servers, so for example, if a specific player has low performance, everyone will have terrible time playing. So make sure, depending on the size of the lobby, the size of the game, to set up specific performance requirements. Medium to maybe 2v2, good should be for like 3v3 or 4v4, as we said, just for your own and everybody else's experience during the game. If we talk about time spent playing the game, I don't like to set up any rules. It's up to you. You can type some additional information. I simply never cared much about it. Let me just set up something else. So we're gonna go to create. We have everything that we wanted to, and we're just gonna go into create. Once you hosted a lobby, this is the first thing that you see. We said it doesn't truly matter of what are the initial settings, because those settings can be changed when you are in the lobby. You can go to different game mode like battle zones or frontlines. You can select different map, different player count, or reintroduce the password or remove it completely. You just click create, and all the changes you made will be active. On the left, you can see your team, you can see opponent team. Over here is order of battle. This is where you can change some of the settings for specific battle, and we're going to talk about it in a second. And on the right, you can, of course, see the chat, and it will be very nice to greet new people, to be very friendly. People have kind of quitting prematurely type of disease in this game. They can rage quit for no reason. So if you're nice to people, if you're friendly, they're less likely to abandon you, and you might even be able to make some friends. On the right, you can see the experience specific player has. That also depends if they are locked. Their profile might be locked, so you might not be able to get any information from them. You can always directly address them, just like this. You can write, hey, hello. Or you can send them a private message. Just double click, and whatever you type, I think will be private, only for you too. Let's go back to the left side of the screen. We can see, the faction. You can select the faction. And over here, you can select essentially if you want to close a lobby, or you want to close specific slot. So this will be closed and nobody else will be able to join. If you want to play, I don't know, 1v3 or 2v4, whatever you prefer, that's possible. You can also go to reserve. When you do this, no one will be able to join but your friends on Steam. If I click reserve, only my Steam friends will be able to join the lobby. This is sometimes why you see a lobby that's full, but it's like, I don't know, 7 out of 8. They are probably waiting for a friend to join. You can also introduce like AI from rookie to heroic. It's up to you if you're going to play with players or against players. That's your thing. But we have a couple of army selection modes. The same as you have game modes, you have army selection modes. The most common one would be allies versus axis. This is like player team A and player team B, so you can switch. But you can also go to specific nation. So now I can lock you in. Team A will be locked into playing Germany. Team B will be locked into playing maybe Commonwealth. And they cannot opt for another nation. You can also go into the players option. This means that every single player can decide on its own faction, regardless of Axis versus Allies or anything else. I can choose to play as Axis or Allies at the same time. We can have like a mixed teams, which is also okay. But as we said, the most common one would be Axis versus Allies. And let's say that you are in a lobby and completely full 3v3, and we play one match. I want to switch. I want to now play Axis versus Allies. We cannot really convince them to switch teams, but what I can do as a host is for Team A to become Axis and for Team B to become Allies. So this is pretty neat. An option that you can pull off. Then you can, of course, go to game settings. This is the standard one. I never experimented with anything else. You can, decide on the XP gain, or essentially you can decide on like income and stuff like that, but I never change it. Big difference here would be war stage. There is early war from 39 to 41. There is a mid war from 41 to 43, and there is a late war from 43 to 45. Some of the nations might not be available a specific time. For example, if you want to play early war Americans, it's impossible. They did not really fight early war, but if you select mid-war, you're going to be able to play all the factions. Armies are different. We talked about, having a specific doctrine. This is where they are. We're going to spend some time talking about them, but the units are different. Early war, late war, tanks are not the same. Infantry units composition or weaponry is not the same. For example, mid-war Brits do not get access to smoke for their infantry, which is a big of a problem. But the Germans on the other side, they do not get access to dedicated anti-tank infantry weapons like Panzerschreck. While Brits get Piat and Americans get the early bazooka, can also be a big game changer as well. So depending on what you like, the most popular one would be late war, I believe. I prefer late war most of the time, but sometimes you can spice it up by just like introducing mid or early war, whatever you like. You can select the mission options. Now, this decides weather condition. So I usually do not like night. I always prefer daytime, so I'm going to click here and it will be daytime. You can also select game duration. Depends on, each game mode. Here, standard would be about 50 minutes, but you can go up to 2 hours. Again, depends on your time, depends on whatever your teammates prefer. You can change victory points. You can change preparation time. Preparation time comes essentially with how can I say? Once you are in the game, there's like 15 seconds. You can buy something before everything spawns and the game starts. So you can maybe say 60 seconds. And that's okay. So now we're gonna wait for 60 seconds until the battle starts. Maybe you can chat with your teammates. You can agree on strategy or anything you like. The standard is 15 minutes, but whatever you decide. Enabling spectators, it's not a great idea. You can have up to 2 spectators. Why is this not a good idea? Simply because, as we said, if someone has performance issues or internet issues, everybody else will experience it at the same time. So adding more players is not a good idea. Also, there is a specific desynchronization with spectating. I experienced multiple times that something happens during the battle, but when I see it is not at the same time. Maybe I see it 3 seconds later, or it's not happening where it should be. It's a little bit weird to watch the battle directly. Sometimes what can happen is that nobody's joining your lobby for some reason. It could be bugged, you know, it could be grayed out for some reason. More experienced player told me that if you open spectator, this could allow, you know, people to get in during the battle, you know, to see the lobby again. Or you can just like reset the lobby, go to online and rehost the lobby if nobody's joining. That could be an issue. We said that every single faction has its own doctrine. Doctrines are different depending on the stage of the war. Currently, we are in late war, and let's say we selected the faction. It will be Germany. Over here, you can select the individual doctrines. You can put the question mark. That will be like a random. But I would recommend going here, right? So we have an option between all around, defensive, irregular, offensive, support, and all around west. So support is part of the Scorched Earth DLC, and all around west will be part of Liberation DLC. Unless you have those DLCs purchased, you would not be able to play those doctrines. It's the way for the company to make some money, of course. But what is the actual doctrine? The actual doctrine is not the same as in Conquest. For example, in Conquest, you do your own research. You have manpower points. You select those echelons, and you pick and choose what units will be part of your army. Here, they are predetermined, so you cannot change that. So let's start, for example, from all around. How can we tell the difference between those doctrines? You click here. And the biggest difference between doctrines would be with infantry and those specific doctrinal call-ins. Everything else is pretty much the same. There are some smaller differences here and there with maybe tanks or maybe with some anti-tank guns, but they're small. The biggest difference would be with infantry and with those doctrinal call-ins. Infantry is different. For example, all around has Volksgrenadiers. You can see the tier. That will be tier 2. You can see how many of them are coming in, and you can see they have a machine gun operator, an assistant, and sometimes there can be like anti-tank squad. You can kind of tell. This will be like tier 4. You can unlock it after 5 minutes. These ones can be unlocked from the start. These ones can be unlocked after like 30 minutes and so long, right? But if we go to those doctrinal points, manpower points that you use to purchase everything here on the list, they are regenerating over time. Every few seconds, every 10 seconds, you get new ones. But doctrinal points do not regenerate. You start with 200 and that's it. Everything you use will not be regenerated over time. There are 3 tiers of those doctrinal call-ins. The first tier is over here. It unlocks after 5 minutes. And if you want to repurchase some of these, you have to wait for 2 minutes. Second tier can be unlocked after 15 minutes during the battle. And if you want to repurchase something from this tier, you have to wait for 5 minutes. And the third tier unlocks after 30 minutes in the battle. And you can like repurchase something after 8 minutes. You can hear kind of a kind of gong, and this will kind of tell you that it's like 5 minutes in, 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, that those special call-ins are available. So let's see different doctrines. Some of the doctrines are more meta than others. Some of them are more powerful than others. Sometimes it depends on the terrain. Sometimes it depends on essentially the composition of your team and what they play. All around doctrine is pretty good. You get access to something like Puma, Yak Panzer 4. You get access to Yak Panther, which is really great, one of the best tank destroyers in the game. So if you're facing your opponent in an open field, this might be like a really, really good doctrine for you. The next one would be defensive, and as the name says, defensive doctrine is centered around defense. We have some cheap units like Volkssturm. You can see that they carry Panzerfaust with them, and they're cheap, but they're not as good as some of the other units you could field with other doctrines. You can see those special colons, engineers. You can see support guns, flak, artillery, anti-tank guns, or tank destroyers like Ferdinand. They're really cool. They are really, really cool to have. Let's go to irregular doctrine. Irregular doctrine is quite interesting. I would not recommend it in like 1v1 or 2v2, but 3v3, 4v4, it would be nice for at least one player to have irregular doctrine because of the bombing runs. Every single nation has its own bombing planes. For the Germans, you get BF-109 with 50 kg bomb and BF-110 with 250 kg bomb. Of course, they cost differently. Why do you want to bring those? Those are really good if you want to kill something that's really heavy on the enemy artillery side, or you want to hit the concentration of enemy force on the point, or you want to kill enemy heavy tanks. You know, sometimes you're going to be facing IS-2, late war, King Tiger, Super Pershing. They're very difficult to kill depending on what doctrine you have, what units you have available. Sometimes just like tracking them and making your ally come in and bombard it would be the best option available, right? So you can have like Brandenburgers. They're commandos. They have stealth. You can see over here. They have really good weapon systems. Infantry is different. It's Luftwaffe. So kind of cool, right? Then we have offensive doctrine, which usually has the best tanks. Has the most aggressive infantry. You usually get some flamethrowers with your infantry. You have STGs, but these guys are kind of pricey in comparison to some other doctrines. These guys might be a little bit on the pricier side. Let's also see their special colons. You get access to Panzer II. This is Lux. Pretty good in like against light vehicles or infantry. You get access to Sturmpanzer 4. That's a beast. You get access to Sturmmosse or King Tiger, Panther over here, right? So some of these doctrines can be different than others. So if you want to have the biggest and the best tanks, then offensive doctrine might be for you. Might be my favorite. We have a support doctrine. We have versatility. Supply officer. It's officer that can drop supplies. Anti-air. We can have a recon plane. You can have a grill. You can have Pack 43, Carl, Jagdtiger. So it's a very interesting doctrine with some basic infantry, I would say. And we can go into all around the West. This one has Panzerlehr. Those guys are pretty damn interesting, and they come with STGs, have really good weapon systems, and a lot of half tracks as well, as you can tell. They are centered around half tracks. You can get like drilling. You can get Pack half track. You can get Nashorn, Hummel, early Tiger 2. So those doctrines are quite different and quite interesting in their own way, depending on the configuration of terrain, depending on your allies and your opponents. You can select different doctrine. But let's compare doctrine, like offensive doctrine, between like late war and mid war. So this is the late wars at Sturmpanzer, Sturmmorser, Panther, late King Tiger. If we switch to mid war, what do we get? Oh, sorry, this is a different doctrine. Automatically switches. Sorry about that. So here we are. Now we have Sturmpanzer 1. instead of Sturmpanzer 4. We have instead of Panther, we have Panzer 4 with the long barrel. Instead of King Tiger, we have Tiger 1H. It's pretty cool, right? Infantry is different as well. You get the different type of infantry. No Panzerfausts at this point in the war, so your infantry would be weaker against enemy armor. You're gonna have to rely on maybe anti-tank rifle or grenadiers to deal with enemy vehicles. And if we go to like early war, let's switch again to the offensive. Now we have Sturmpanzer 1, but in the third colon stage, right? So that's a little bit different. No Tigers, no Panthers. We can get the Panzer 4, but F1. This is like a short barrel version. You can get Panzer 3 and stuff like that. So depending on the infantry is also different. The squads are bigger, and they cost different amounts of manpower points. So tanks are different. Usually people play late war, but you can also play anything you like. You just need to understand that the doctrines are different, and we do not have access to the West. All around West does not exist in early war, so that's interesting. This is all about doctrines. We might make a specific video about essentially each specific faction and their doctrines, their advantages and disadvantages. But this is enough to explain the basic way how doctrines work. Just before we start, there is preparation time. Enough time to buy a unit, for example. And we're gonna pause it real quick. So we start. We have 15 minutes to go. On the left, I have my ally. On the right, I have my ally. That means depending on where you spawn, this will be your responsibility. So if I spawn on the left flank would be my responsibility. If I spawn on the right flank would be my responsibility. I spawn in the center, so this should be my section of the front. And of course, whenever you play Domination, the goal is to either win on points or win by taking enemy position, enemy flag. So we have our victory point that cannot fall into enemy hands. If it does, we lose. And if we take, enemy position, we can win. Regardless of what's the score on the table, if we take their victory point, we win. Essentially. But with Domination, you're always going to have those pop-up points. If you can manage to take them, you get extra points for your score and you get extra manpower points. We said that those manpower points do regenerate over time. You start with 200 for manpower, you start with 200 for doctrinal points, and you start with a specific population cap. Population cap will increase whenever you had like 5 minutes in, 50 minutes in, or 30 minutes in. That population cap will increase, so you're going to be able to field more troops. We said that manpower points will increase over time, but that depends on how many units you have fielded. If your CP is kind of lower than max CP, you're going to get the higher higher regen rate for your manpower points. If your CP is full, you're going to get less regeneration for your manpower points. Well, we said the doctrinal points over here, they stay exactly the same as they are. They would not change. So if you play Domination, your goal is to help your allies take this position. Anytime there is like a new flag on the map, your job will be to take it. And usually, as you can see, map is those pop-up flags are somewhere in the middle. They're gonna be somewhere around this point on the map. Might be a little bit towards your side or towards the enemy side, but that's it. This is why in Domination you should control as much of the field as possible. So let's unpause, and we're gonna send our infantry right over there, and we can even bring another unit because why not? We can send 2 units over there, and now with the remaining manpower points, as you can see, my regeneration is now a bit lower. I'm gonna bring my riflemen, and I'm gonna send them because I'm in center, I'm gonna send them over here somewhere. Their job would be essentially to defend the point. It will be very difficult to capture enemy point early on, simply because it takes a long time to capture it. And the second, your opponent will be able to reinforce the point faster than you can. Your units have to come all the way from over there, and my units can quickly just get here and reinforce it. So I don't think it's a good idea in Domination to try to capture enemy, win condition flag. Simply try to do something else like capturing those flags and getting more points. As you can tell, there is some ammunition available, so you guys can have some regeneration for their bandages, for their ammunition, for their nades. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm gonna bring a couple of more of those riflemen, because this is my job. Besides those points, I need to protect my side of the battlefield. And when you play with human players, you can also, just ping. Moving to location, I need some kind of assistance. You can use Z to type to your teammates, like, I take center. That's it. That's my responsibility, and this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, let me just do some switching here. We see enemy squad. We're gonna drop some smoke to get on the point. I'm gonna bring my guys forward. Yeah, let's bring that guy over there. We're gonna break this squad. We're gonna have a machine gunner and assistant together. We even might want to dig in like this. These guys as well, we're gonna allow him to dig in. Do that. Heal. Let's position ourselves. With those guys, they're in the smoke. We can help them dig in. Like that. We're going to press K. We're going to break the squad. And now they're going to be taking this position. We're outweighing the enemy. We have plus 10 on this point. It's pretty good. But you can also check on something very interesting. I mentioned before that you can not only resupply in this radius, but you can do something else. You can dig in properly. You can get some dynamite. You can get mine detectors, anti-tank mines, anti-personnel mines, bandages, and the repair kits. Which is pretty cool. Even after we take this, extra ammo will stay, and that inventory will stay, so you can use it to kind of mine off this part of the map, which is pretty cool. This will be battle zones, and battle zones are quite a bit different from Domination that we've seen before, simply because there is no such thing as victory point. In Domination, you have victory point, your enemy has victory point, and we have like a random flag that appears somewhere in the middle of the map. Well, in this case, all of the flags are fixed. They cannot be moved, and usually there is an odd number of flags. If you play 1v1, there will be 3 flags on the map. We are playing 4v4 currently. That means that there will be 9 flags. The goal here would be to hold at least one more flag than the enemy. This is how you win. So, for example, I spawn on the left. That means that my responsibility would be to contest E and F. That's right. So, as long as we as a team hold 5 or more flags, we're good. Sometimes, like, pushing and trying to take another flag would be ill-advised because pushing is more difficult. You're going to lose more men. You're probably going to have to micro heavily. Well, just defending a specific point might be easier. Or sometimes, like, pushing at a specific flank might not be worth it anymore. You just want to keep what you have. And if your allies are under attack, you might want to, send some of your men or vehicles or tanks to assist them. That's it. You cannot also dig in as you can with Domination special points. Like, there are no mines, there is no ammo. You're going to have to bring that yourself. This game mode is called Frontlines, and unlike in the previous two, where there is back and forth, attacking, defending, here you either defend or you attack. And we are defenders here. As you can tell, the map is quite big. This would be our section of the front. Wherever you spawn, this is your responsibility, as always. You cannot just go somewhere else and defend there. This is your spawn. Every single person, it could be AI, they spawn in a specific section of the front, and this is what you have to defend. If you are a defender, you want to set up kind of layer defense, because you start with less points than your opponents. They're attacking, and they can simply afford to lose way more men than you can. As you can tell, they're like two sections of the front. They're kind of separated. Every single subsection of the front is over here. And for example, enemies are attacking. They take this one, and then they have troops over here. But let's say that this guy took this point and that guy took that point, but on the left flank, this point wasn't taken. So you have to get the entire front line together. So this guy, even though he pushed very deep on the right flank, he cannot take this point unless this point on this side is taken. The entire line of fortification is taken. They will not be able to push. They can push, but essentially they will get nothing. You have about 5 minutes to prepare. Usual preparation time will be about 3.5 minutes. This can be changed by the host. It can be increased or decreased. Usually extra preparation time is good for defenders. So we said the attackers in particular have to work together. If somebody gets stuck somewhere on their front line, nobody else can advance. So they have to help their ally out. If you're defending as well, if you can see that your ally is losing his point, you might want to bring some men to help him out. You do not want the entire front line to kind of crash and collapse. I would usually advise not bringing the entire squads, but maybe bringing individuals like machine gun detachments, anti-tank detachment, because they're simply cheaper, and you can bring like individual troops. It's very important. Let me unpause it real quick. It's very important to bring miners, like anti-tank miners. You can bring field engineers as well. Field engineers can help you dig in with your artillery, for example. Miners can set up mines, of course. So we can do something like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so now he's gonna go and do that. You can use shift when placing those mines. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You do not want to overmine front line, because eventually you're gonna lose this section, and enemy spawn will move closer and closer as your spawn will move further away. So there is no point in like mining too much, in my opinion. We have 20 of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. That's good for this guy, and we can bring another guy to do exactly the same. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and maybe 20. So now we're going to be forcing enemy armor to kind of zigzag, and where they can pass, there is a minefield. And even if they manage to destroy those mines, they're going to be exposing themselves to the flanking fire on our side. You're going to bring like machine gun detachments, and they're going to protect your point easily. You do not want to bring too many infantrymen, because they're going to be able to bring howitzers, artillery. So be very, very careful how you defend. We said that eventually frontline will collapse. You do not want to invest too much. But you want to bring maybe even more troops and, lay even more mines and stuff like that. You can bring engineering truck to help you with this. So this is it as a defender. Also, once this front line is taken, you're gonna get extra points. Your opponents will get extra points, and there are also victory points. You get victory points by destroying enemy vehicles and enemy infantry, while they get extra points by killing your men, but also capturing those flags. The more flags you hold, the less points enemy will have. So in the end, the victor will be decided either through attackers taking the entire defensive position, everything, which is quite possible, or when they cannot take everything, then the victor will be decided upon who has more victory points. This is why, as a defender, you want to have a defense in depth, where you can delay the enemy as much as possible, cause the maximum amount of damage onto them. If you're playing big battles like 3v3 or 4v4, I usually recommend reducing your graphical settings. So my GPU is more than capable of pushing maximum graphical settings, but I usually keep it at medium if I play something really big. Simply because if there is less data to be transmitted between the host and players, a game usually would run smoother than would run if you have maximum settings. This game is mostly CPU bound, depending, of course, on what kind of GPU you have, but mostly CPU bound. The more units there are, the higher the CPU use case will be, and the more RAM will be required. So if you have like 36 gigs of RAM or more, you should be good. But even so, for large battles, I experienced better performance at lower GPU settings. The best way to play multiplayer in this game, either PvE or PvP, would be with friends. And where do you find friends to play this game? Well, on Discord. We have a Discord channel with over 150 people right now, and we're always willing to take more. We always have somebody playing the game, different mods. We have events every single weekend, so if you want to join and play with us, feel free. We have like a dedicated section for different games, especially for Gates of Hell. This is where we discuss some tips and tricks. You might get some insights in some of my early research for videos. You can have like interesting idea in discussing the game. You can see some recommendation for other channels. We share some interesting pictures and mods that we play with other people. You can see some YouTubers as well. They like to hang out here, which is pretty cool. The link will be in the description of the video, and by far the biggest channel here would be the official Gates of Hell channel. When you join their Discord, you can select channel roles, and you want to have PvP roles selected. If you don't have it selected, you can see nothing over here. There will be some like PvE players, but if you want to play PvP, you just click over here. It will be channel roles, and if I scroll down now, I can see a bunch of people playing the game, and you can just join and say hello. These guys are playing ranked. So you can see some YouTubers, Hamilcar, Meow7, a really good player, MaxCall4, right? So if you want to be mentored, if you want to play some casual 1v1 or 2v2, this is a really good place to join in.